Perhaps no other industry is being impacted by agentic AI more directly than the traditional marketing agency. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research, and welcome to another SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode. Today, we are drilling down on Adobe's most recent GenStudio announcements made at Cannes, France. And I'll say this up front. I'm relatively new to covering Adobe as a tech analyst, but I have a real passion for what Adobe is doing with AI. Why? Because this is not abstract to me. As someone running an industry analyst firm, I see firsthand how AI-based creative and marketing tools can let a smaller business do more with less. More content, more polish, more speed, and frankly, at a far lower cost than what would have traditionally required a full external marketing agency. That is why this Adobe announcement matters. Adobe is not simply automating creative tasks, it is industrializing the marketing machine. Adobe's Rob Hawes framed GenStudio as the system that brings together humans, agents, workflows, context, and brand. That is the key idea. And yes, I could not resist the Mad Men imagery here. What would Don Draper think of Adobe GenStudio? He would probably hate it for 5 minutes. Then he would figure out how to sell the hell out of it. The marketing bottleneck is no longer the big idea. It is speed, it is volume, it is governance, and it is proof. Adobe is responding to a market where every brand is under pressure to produce more content across more channels, while the shelf life of that content keeps shrinking. Rob Hawes put it clearly in an exclusive industry briefing. He said the demand for content continues to explode, and every year that statement is still true. That is the brutal reality for modern marketing teams. You need content for websites, email, Google Ads, Amazon Ads, YouTube, commerce media, social, and emerging AI agent environments. And each touchpoint needs to feel relevant, personalized, and on brand. That is almost impossible to sustain manually. For small businesses, this creates a new opening. They can access tools that once felt reserved for big budget creative operations. For enterprises, the stakes are even bigger. They can bring more of the marketing supply chain in-house with more control, more measurable governance, and less dependency on agency production cycles. That is the uncomfortable truth. The agency model is not being attacked by one single tool. It is being compressed by an entire AI-powered workflow. Adobe's big bet is that marketing is becoming an agentic content supply chain. That phrase may sound a little technical, but the idea is simple. Marketing is moving from disconnected people and tools into an intelligent operating system. Adobe shows this evolution in 3 stages. First, the foundational content supply chain. That was about humans optimizing operations, centralizing metadata, and eliminating silos. Second, the AI-powered content supply chain. That was about humans using generative AI to scale content output. Now comes the agentic content supply chain. That means humans and AI agents working together across planning, production, asset management, delivery, activation, reporting, and insights. Rob Hawes said the goal is end-to-end agent orchestration. That is the shift. This is not just about asking AI to make a picture or write a headline. It is about orchestrating the entire campaign lifecycle. That is why this is so disruptive to agencies. Historically, agencies made money by coordinating chaos. People, assets, approvals, decks, timelines, feedback, trafficking, reporting. Adobe is now engineering that coordination layer directly into the platform. The creative director still matters, but the coordination tax is under attack. Workfront MCP is one of the most important pieces of Adobe's announcement because it brings work orchestration into the AI tools people already use. Rob Hawes described Workfront MCP as giving any AI tool governed access to your work data and the ability to act on it. That is a big statement. It means an AI tool is no longer just summarizing a meeting or helping brainstorm copy. It can now help create projects, build workflows, assign tasks, accelerate approvals, and even write and distribute status reports. That is where the agency impact gets very real. A lot of agency value has traditionally lived in project management, follow-ups, timelines, approvals, coordination, making sure nothing falls through the cracks. But if Workfront MCP can take a Teams recording, a whiteboard screenshot, or meeting notes and turn that into a working project, then the machine is taking over a meaningful part of that operational muscle. For large enterprises, that means more internal control. For smaller companies, it means they get a virtual project manager without hiring one. This does not eliminate human judgment, but it does eliminate a lot of friction. And in marketing, friction is expensive. Brand intelligence may be one of the most underappreciated pieces of this Adobe story. Because brand is not just a logo, it is not just a color palette, it is not just a PDF sitting in a shared folder that nobody reads. Claudia de Laval said it well in the briefing. She said Adobe believes a brand at the end of the day is much more than a style guide. She called it a living, breathing thing. That is the key. The real brand brain usually lives in people's heads. It lives in campaign reviews, executive comments, approval notes, creative decisions, compliance feedback, and years of tribal knowledge. Adobe is trying to make that knowledge machine readable. That matters because once brand intelligence sits underneath the content supply chain, AI agents can create, validate, and optimize content while staying aligned with brand expectations. This is a massive shift. Today, brand governance often happens after the fact. Someone creates something, someone else reviews it, and then the revision cycle begins. Adobe wants governance to happen while content gets created. That can reduce waste, it can speed approval, and it can help enterprises scale without losing brand control. Don Draper would hate that the brand mystique is being codified, but he would respect the leverage. Adobe's Simulate skill goes after another expensive marketing bottleneck: research. Traditionally, campaign testing can take weeks or months. Focus groups, surveys, outside research firms, consumer panels, and endless interpretation. That process can be valuable, but it is slow. Adobe is trying to make audience simulation part of the workflow itself. Claudia de Laval explained that pre-testing concepts helps brands stick the landing before launch. She also noted that brands need to understand not just whether content follows the rules, but whether it resonates with customers. That is a powerful distinction. Simulate skill is not only asking whether creative is on brand, it is asking whether it lands. Adobe highlighted an AT&T example where synthetic audience judgment matched real customer testing, but delivered results in 11 minutes instead of 6 weeks. That is the kind of compression that changes operating models. Think about what this means. A team can test early concepts, compare creative layouts, evaluate different audience segments, and decide when to follow or break brand guidelines before spending serious media dollars. This does not make human research irrelevant, but it changes the baseline. The old model was test slowly and hope. The new model is simulated quickly, learns faster, and reduces expensive mistakes. Adobe's Firefly Graph and Creative Agents point to another major shift. Creative production is becoming reusable infrastructure. That sounds clinical, but it is deeply disruptive. Elliot Sediga explained that Firefly Graph helps teams capture repeatable generative workflows. He said the value of generative AI is now being captured in workflows and becoming an enterprise asset that you can actually share and distribute and then reuse. That is the heart of it. A great campaign style, a product shot format, a seasonal visual system, or a repeatable effect no longer has to live only in the hands of a few specialists. It can become a governed workflow. Then, Firefly Creative Production can scale that workflow into thousands of variations: resizing, reformatting, localizing, translating, adapting, publishing. And Adobe is also pushing creative agents into flagship tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, and Frame.io. That is where this gets practical. Creative teams do not want AI floating off in some separate experimental app. They want it inside the tools they already use. So the creative director does not disappear, but the production assembly line gets radically automated. Taste moves up, execution moves to the machine. Retail media has a simple problem. There is huge demand, but creative execution slows everything down. Ed Kennedy explained that suppliers often cannot produce the right creative at the right scale or format for a retailer's network. In many cases, the retailer absorbs the work, or the ad simply never goes live. That is a painful reality. Retailers have valuable first-party shopper data. Suppliers want to reach those audiences, but the creative production and trafficking process becomes an operational tax. Adobe's GenStudio for Commerce Media Networks is designed to solve that. Ed Kennedy said retailers can now activate shopper intelligence into personalized ads, allowing suppliers and advertisers to create on-brand personalized ads matched to first-party audience data, including data clean rooms. That matters because it connects data, creative generation, brand governance, activation, and performance feedback in one workflow. For suppliers, it means self-service creative. For retailers, it means more monetizable media inventory. For brands, it means more personalized ads without losing control. This is another agency pressure point. Retail media execution has often required outside support. Adobe is turning that execution layer into software. That will not kill agencies, but it does force them to move higher up the value chain. Now let's say the quiet part out loud. Adobe is making more of the agency stack software native. The platform is absorbing functions that agencies have historically bundled into their value proposition and billed by the hour. Project creation, workflow management, brand compliant creative assembly, audience simulation, variant generation, trafficking, optimization, reporting. That is a lot of agency labor moving into an AI-powered platform. For small businesses, this is incredibly empowering. They can now get agency-like leverage without agency-like budgets. For enterprises, the impact is equally significant. They can move faster, keep more control, reduce cycle time, and connect performance data directly back into creative production. But agencies are not finished. They just need to stop selling the wrong things. The winners will not compete on production volume or coordination overhead. They will compete on strategy, taste, cultural instinct, and creative judgment. The agency of the future should be leaner, sharper, and more consultative. The agency that survives will not ask, how many assets can we produce? It will ask, what should this brand mean in the market right now? That question still needs humans. So how would Mad Men's Don Draper, after knocking down a few old fashions, react to Adobe GenStudio? He would hate the loss of mystique. Then he would sell the hell out of it. Draper built his world on intuition, taste, mood, and the magic of the perfect pitch. Adobe is turning much of that world into a measurable, repeatable, always-on system. That would threaten him. But Draper was never really selling production. He was selling meaning. That is the lesson for agencies. Stop selling production hours. The machine does production now. Start selling taste, strategy, cultural instinct, and the big idea. Those are the things that cannot be easily prompted, templated, or automated away. My balanced view is this. Adobe is not killing agencies. It is forcing them to prove what only humans still do best. And for small businesses and firms like SmartTech Research, Adobe's direction is exciting because it makes high-quality marketing execution more accessible, more affordable, and more scalable. For enterprises, it creates a path to faster campaigns, stronger governance, and tighter performance loops. That is a powerful market proposition. Thanks for watching this SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the SmartTechCheck podcast channel on YouTube, and let us know what topics you would like SmartTech Research to cover in future episodes.